All right, students, so today we are going to make meatball subs. This is a recipe that we need to do over the course of 2 days. So I'd like you to pay attention to when we're going to cut off between day 1 and day 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put on gloves, just because we're working with raw meat and I don't want to get that all over my hands. So give me just a moment. And the second thing that we're going to do is mince the garlic. So if you remember from earlier in the semester, we had to mince garlic as part of our recipe. So let's go ahead and we'll do that now. So how you mince garlic, this is 1 clove of garlic. When you shop at the store, it comes in a bulb that has many cloves within it. So just know that for when you're cooking and it asks for a clove, it's asking for 1 little section of garlic. So the way that we go ahead and crack this open is we set it flat on our cutting board and we just press down lightly with our knife, and it's going to make it so that it peels nicely. The outer layer just comes right off. And we'll throw away the rest of that. How we mince is our knife never leaves the cutting board. The tip is going to stay on the cutting board. The rest of our fingers are above and securely holding that handle. And we're just going to gently rock back and forth with our garlic. We want to get these pieces as small as we can, because when you bite into your sub sandwich, you don't want to just get a mouthful of garlic. You want all of those flavors evenly distributed. Okay. So we're just making these pieces as small as we can. And then we're going to put our garlic into a medium-sized bowl. So here I have my mixing bowl. And we will go ahead and add in that garlic. Right in there, okay? The next step is to chop the parsley. With this recipe, we're going to use dried parsley. So I'm going to get 2 teaspoons of our parsley, and we'll just go ahead and add that into our mixture. Okay, the next is to beat the egg and add it to our bowl. So I'm going to put it in this smaller bowl first. The reason being, you never know what's going to happen when you open your egg. It's possible that it'll have blood in it. It's possible that you'll have some shell in there that's hard to get out if you mix it with your other ingredients. So I suggest cracking it into its own bowl first. Okay, and since that raw egg touched my hands, I'm going to take off my gloves and put on some new ones. But first I'm going to beat the egg. So we beat that egg first. And then we'll go ahead and add it to the rest of our ingredients. Our egg is acting as the binding agent in this recipe. So it's going to help all of our solid ingredients stay together, whereas emulsifying is where our liquid ingredients need to stay together. So eggs help oil and water to stay together. That's the emulsifying. But the binding is the meat plus the other ingredients. So next we're going to go ahead and add our ground beef. Okay, I'm just using Kroger brand ground beef here. So we'll go ahead and add that to our mixing bowl here, and then we need to add our breadcrumbs and the Italian seasoning. So the breadcrumbs are here, and I need 1/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons. So there's 1/4 of a cup. And here are my 2 tablespoons. Okay. Next we need to add the Italian seasoning. And we need 1½ teaspoons of that. Next, we need to add our Parmesan cheese. So we just need 1 tablespoon of the Parmesan cheese. Next, we need to measure and add our salt. So our recipe's only asking for 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. So go ahead and add that. And then we need to gently combine all of our ingredients by hand. So I recommend using gloves for this lab. I know that previously I've said that you can work with bread dough without gloves on because it sticks really bad. But for this recipe, you need to wear gloves because we have eggs, we have raw eggs, and we have raw meat in this mixture. So we don't want to get all of that salmonella all over your hands. So we're going to go ahead and combine those ingredients by gently mixing them together. I'm just breaking up that meat and just mixing it with my hands. We're trying to evenly distribute these. So we'll go ahead and just mix it in using our hands. So if you need to break up that meat so that it can absorb all of those breadcrumbs, that's what you can do with gloves on. Alrighty. If any of you have ever made homemade meatballs before, they are really, really good. So this is going to be a really yummy recipe. So I'm just breaking apart our meat here, and you can see it has absorbed all of those other ingredients in our bowl here. So looks pretty good. So the next instruction that we have on our recipe is to shape into 6 meatballs and place in a 9-inch pan. So I have my giant meatball, if you will. So here's how I'm going to divide them. I'm going to divide this whole mixture in half. Okay. If you need to take some and add it to the other, you can. So now I have 2 meatballs, and then I'm going to make 3 meatballs out of each of these. So we'll go ahead and divide this one into 3. And it looks like this one has a lot more than that middle one, so we'll just take and add a little bit more, and then we'll roll them up. Okay, and then I have my square 9 by 9 inch pan here. I'm just going to put all my meatballs in here. Because of the fat content in our ground beef, we do not need to grease the pan before. The meat will naturally, it'll let out some of that grease, and so the meat won't, it'll make it so that it's non-stick automatically. So as you can see, this meatball is a little bit bigger than the other one, so I'm just taking a little bit and adding it to the others. And then we're gonna do the same thing here where we're going to make 3 meatballs out of this one. And just take and add however much you feel is equal. Okay, this middle one's still just looking a little bit small, so we'll go ahead and add them. Alright, so this is the end of day 1. This is where we are going to stop. You are going to bring up your meatballs to the supply table and you'll put them here. I'll put plastic wrap over them and then put your kitchen number and period number on top so that we know that these belong to you. And then we will continue on from there on day number 2. So I'll go ahead and stop this video.